Hey folks, Merry Christmas, y'all. We're talking holiday traditions on this edition of Tune In.
Hi folks, thanks for tuning in. Here's your host, Representative Rick Crawford.
And we are back. A Merry Christmas to you. We are wrapping up the year up here in Washington, and I wanted to talk to you about some of our Christmas traditions in the Crawford family. We have, like everybody else, we've got our family traditions, and nothing crazy. Of course, we like to watch Christmas Vacation, and of course, everybody has their own cousin Eddie in the family. But we try to have a lot of fun at our house, and our kids are getting older. Will and Delaney are now 10 and 8, and when they start to see Christmas stuff in the stores, that's when I really get the pressure from them to get the tree out and put the tree up and do all the decorations. But I have a hard and fast rule in the Crawford house, and that is we don't do anything Christmas until the day after Thanksgiving. It's just I want to get through Thanksgiving before we start to celebrate Christmas. And so consequently, on Friday, that's the day that we put up our tree, and we did that this year. And as I said, they're getting a little bit older, and so I can pretty well turn it over to them. I do some of the technical things, and of course we have some safety concerns, climbing up the ladder and things like that. And now the kids are jockeying for position about who gets to put the angel on top of the tree. And so we have that fight year after year. But they're getting to the point where they can actually do the decorating of the tree themselves, and I'm getting over it as somebody who's trying to control that. And Stacy and I just kind of sit back and let them do their thing, and they had a great time doing it this year. And so we enjoy those family traditions. And of course, up here in Washington, the Capitol has their own set of Christmas traditions. And, you can imagine that it's probably been around a while. Went out to the Capitol Christmas tree lighting, and it's beautiful. It's really something to see. But the addition of the tree up here in the Capitol is something that's relatively a recent addition. I got to give you a little bit of background here, because you kind of think about, well, now why wouldn't they plant a tree? We've had years to prepare for this. Why would they not plant the tree? And actually they did. Way back in the first record of a Christmas tree here on the Capitol complex was in 1919. So we know that there was a Christmas tree at that point. It was probably purchased somewhere. But it wasn't until 1964 that they decided that they were going to try and put an official tree lighting ceremony in place. And the speaker at that time in 1964, Speaker of the House, was John W. McCormack, and he requested that a tree be planted on the grounds. Now, that would be the eco-friendly thing. So back in 1964, they were ahead of their time. But, weather being what it was, occasionally, unfortunately, a combination of factors. They had a bad windstorm in the spring of 1967, and that caused some root damage, and the tree ultimately died in 1968. So, ever since then, the USDA has been responsible for providing the tree, and they get that from a variety of sources. And when I say that, generally it comes out of a national forest somewhere. This year, believe it or not, was the first year that the tree has come from Alaska. Now, why would it be the first year from Alaska? Well, it's a 4,000-mile trip. That's why. It's a long trip. This tree came from, if I can say this right, and if I haven't, forgive me, the Chugach National Forest in Alaska. It's a 74-foot spruce. And as I said, first time from Alaska. It was a 4,000-mile trip by land, but first they had to go by sea to get it from Alaska to the port in Seattle. At that point, the architect of the Capitol arranged for transportation, drove it all the way to Washington, D.C. They brought the tree into the Capitol complex on Friday, November the 20th. And after it arrives, they secure it to the ground. The tree is decorated with thousands of ornaments. Now, you can imagine a tree 74 feet high. Probably holds a lot of ornaments. But the neat thing about this is the bulk of the ornaments that go on the tree any given year come from that state. So most of the ornaments that you saw or that you see on the tree this year are handcrafted by children from communities throughout Alaska. So that's a neat thing. And so, while we spend a lot of time in the holidays, it's certainly a family time, and we decorate our trees, and it's an important time of the year, but we also want to focus on giving and serving others, and that's really the most important thing of what I do. But the most public part of my job is the voting part. That's what goes on up here in Washington. That's the part that you see the most of. But a very important part of the work that's done as a member of Congress is the work that takes place at home, and that's the casework throughout the district. And we do, I feel, a great job helping folks figure out and navigate what is and can be a fairly complex landscape in the federal government. And so we have a great staff that helps folks resolve their issues. Doesn't matter what the issue might be: Medicare, IRS, Social Security, VA, we get a lot of that, State Department with passports, things of that nature. And so our staff does a wonderful job in helping sort of bridge the gap and navigate some of the what can be some pitfalls, as you can imagine, in the federal bureaucracy. If you have a question, or if you know of anybody that needs help, that's what we want to do. We want to start 2016 off right and make sure that that you know how to get a hold of us. 870-203-0540 is our office number, 870-203-0540. And you can also get a hold of us in D.C. You get to our website. It's real easy to find, crawford.house.gov. Real easy to send us a message. Just go to the contact tab at the top of the page and then just click contact me, and we'll get that message from you. And then finally, before we leave you, this is the 17th edition of Tune In. It's the last one for the year. We started this project because we wanted to talk directly to you. We wanted to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on what takes place up here in Washington and give you an idea of, how things are done up here, and also so you know where I stand on the critical issues that affect us and all of us in the 1st District of Arkansas. So let me just thank you. We've really seen a large number of viewers that have been tuning in. And of course, you watch on YouTube, but you can also watch it on the iTunes podcast or SoundCloud, or actually listen to it on the iPods or the iTunes podcast and the SoundCloud listeners. We appreciate you too. So we just want to invite you again. This show is about communicating with you. So go ahead and tune in. And then if you have questions or comments, tweet us at TuneInAR1. That's at TuneInAR1. You can hit us up on Facebook and however you want to contact us, but make sure you give us your name and your hometown so we can attribute your question or your comment, because we want to make this as much about you as we can and try to include you at every opportunity. So, in fact, most of the topics that we deal with on the show come from folks and ideas back in the district that have questions or concerns about a given issue. So, again, thank you. It's been a great year, for me personally, to be able to represent you. It's whether it's been a good year for you, that's up to you. But we're doing everything we can to try and make America a better place, make Arkansas and the 1st District a better place. And we need to hear from you because ultimately that's my job, is to represent you here. So thank you for giving me that honor and that opportunity. And I want to say thank you again and Merry Christmas. And Stacy and the kids and I, all of you, Merry Christmas from us. To you, and certainly peace on earth at this time of year, goodwill toward men, and God bless you. We'll see you in January.